Happy last 15 minutes of Wednesday evening, February 1st, first day of the shortest month of the year. Happy Black History Month. Yeah, shortest month of the year. That's the one we get. Woohoo. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center. This will be an overnighter, slightly longer than a Midnight Express, but not as long as a normal overnighter. Got a little bit more to talk about than usual. Obviously, we have the aftermath of the announcements that happened yesterday as far as DC goes. I'm going to do a quick recap of what I believe is Dave Bautista's best performance. I got to see it last night. Knock at the Cabin is good. It is my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie. I've seen his other movies. I've enjoyed those movies. I did not enjoy them quite as much. I was not engrossed nearly as much in any of these other movies than this one. Dave Bautista, in my opinion, there are other people in the movie that you could call the star. Dave Bautista is the star of Knock at the Cabin. He delivers plenty of screen time, and he delivers his strongest, most believable performance. So we'll talk a little bit about like that, and then we'll talk about why it's absolutely ridiculous to bring Superman's trunks back. I mean, come on. When Superman was created back in 1938, there were a lot of let me bring this up. He was fashioned after the circus strongmen, and a lot of the people who performed on that level that were considered to be doing and accomplishing feats that were larger than life and that were things that not any normal man could do. You know, lifting things up, taking lots of pain, taking cannonballs to the belly. I mean, stuff that the normal person couldn't do. And when you look at Superman, share this screen to you. If you look at Superman, he's the first superhero. He was fashioned. I couldn't find a good picture that would allow me to share it, but basically what the outfit was overall tights with some type of trunk over them, and you know sometimes it will be just a trunk. Sometimes it'll be like one of those, you know, one arm, one shoulder. Suit. I'm trying to find a good picture. I had one, but it won't let me open it up. StreamYard is being weird lately, but let's see if this one shows it. I couldn't find a really, really good one. I had a good vintage one, but it's not letting me open it up. So, but yeah, that's where they came from. In the 30s, that was still in the era of traveling circuses, carnivals. You know, you'd have the bearded lady, and you'd have the guy that could lift 1,000 pounds. You know, most of it was fake, but you know, a singlet is what it's called. But yeah, you would have you would have those guys performing, and they would when when Siegel and Schuster created Superman, that was the era they were living in. You still had those guys traveling throughout, you know, throughout the country and all over the world in some cases. So here you go. I think I got one of the good ones. So yeah, let's go ahead and use this one. It's on Pinterest, but it'll be a lot easier to show you guys exactly why we have what we have. And here we go. Circus Strongman Trunks. Pinterest. Okay, so you can kind of see, if you look here, the inspiration of, hold on, make sure we got it going because this is so stupid. All right, so these are costumes, but you can kind of see the breakdown of the outfit. And a lot of this goes down to, like I said, the 1930s. But the best one right here, I think, is this one. If you look at that, he's wearing, he's a wrestling singlet. He's got a shirt on under it, and a lot of times, I can't tell there, but those would be like leggings that he would wear, and that's pretty much where the idea for superheroes in trunks came from. Superman was the first superhero, so a lot of superheroes followed suit. Batman, there's no reason for Batman to have trunks, but Batman followed Superman, and that was the trend for those first 20 to 30 years of comics. I don't think that's necessary now. We are not in the 30s anymore. We are not being influenced by strongmen that perform otherworldly feats. I think Superman has evolved from the trunks. I think it's silly that it's even, even a thought in anyone's mind to bring him back. I know James Gunn did a poll today, and the majority of the people want him back. But that's practical wise, it makes no sense. It kind of looks silly. Nostalgia wise, yeah, fine. But like I said, nostalgia is a two-way street. One of them leans off a cliff. So yeah, no trunks on Superman. Let me say hi to my chat. How you doing, Darcivio Vincenzo? How you doing? How was Rupert Grint and Knock? Who did he play? Hold on. Who did Rupert Grint? Did he? Yeah, obviously there was not a lot of people in the movie, by the way. So he had. I think he's talking about the redheaded dude with the beard. So let me see who he played. Look at the cabinet because I recognize everybody else. Rupert Grint. Yeah, you're right. That's him. He's good. He's a little some twist to his character, but he was good. He played his character well. I can't give you too much about him or about any of the characters without spoiling it for you. And it's a really good movie. I mean, it's like I said, it's most of those actors I hadn't seen before. Jonathan Goff, obviously, I'd seen. He played the one of the special agents in Manhunter. He did a great job. The two dads and the daughter, they all did great jobs. But like I said, maybe because I'm biased, and I am a fan of Dave Bautista's ever evolving work. Dave Bautista is the standout performance in this movie. This movie doesn't take place in a lot of different places. It is as named. It is in a cabin out in the woods, and that is for the most part that is the primary place it takes place, and they get a lot out of a very little. Like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm glad I took the night off to go see it. Hey, William, do you know why February is the shortest month? Julius Caesar borrowed a day to make July 31 days, and Augustus borrowed a day to make August 31 days. There you go. And they give Black History months to the shortest one. Why don't I get a 30? Why don't I get a 31-day month? Damn it! No justice. All right, Flash Gordon was before Superman, and by the way, Flash Gordon is a franchise. What are you talking about? But Flash Gordon's not a superhero. Flash Gordon had a franchise. I have all of the early movies, Buster Crafts movies, yeah. But Flash Gordon is not considered a superhero. Superman is largely considered the first superhero. Flash Gordon was just basically like an accidental. I mean, if you look at the origins of Flash Gordon, he's in the right place at the right time to save the world. But he's not a superhero, not like Superman, because he's not really that in that vein. But no, Flash Gordon has tons of stuff. I mean, dude, we could go through the list of that. I mean, when you say franchise, do you mean like a multi-movie franchise? If you're asking that, that's a good question. I don't know. I know they've tried it before, but I would like to see it. Good question. Strongman, how you doing? How you doing, Jared? Yeah, go see Knock It. Like I said, Knock It the Cabin. It's a great movie. All right, Mash. I wish I could care about DCU Slade, but I just don't. The superhero team up movies that I wish are for JL and X-Men, and we won't. I'll be in my 30s right now. Shit, I'll be in my 50s, dude. What are you talking about? That's a problem. It takes a while to rebuild after somebody shit on the bed for as long as the previous regime did. So okay, hi, I want to offer promotion to channel views for all chatbots. The prices are up. I can't have that in here. Hold on, because it's not my network for you to do that. So you'd have to get permission from Enosh, who Well, you'd have to do that to him. So yeah, guys. When we're doing a show like this, hold on. Let's do. When we're doing a show like this, we yeah, see that's on the Twitch channel, so that's you'll have to get with Enosh on that one, but so yeah, let's see that there. All right. Yeah, man, it's in the Super Bowl and everything else, man. I want singular attention. Damn it. All right. Do you think Gunn set the bar too high by name dropping Game of Thrones, Watchmen, Judas? No. That's what he needed to do. When you are behind and you've had mismanagement for as long as they have, you're coming in. One of the reasons I said James Gunn, he has 40% chance of success. Most of it has nothing to do with him. It's because the previous management screwed things up so bad that he had to enter the game with an atomic bomb. Like I said a couple of days ago, don't bring a hand grenade to something you need an atomic bomb to win. So no, I thought he could have actually raised the bar higher and then go ahead and meet those expectations. To be honest with you, so I thought there could have been a lot more and it could have been a lot spectacular. But what I got, I was okay with. But yeah, I mean, he's meeting. If you're gonna put, this is when he's talking about the HBO Max. You got it. If you're gonna put something on HBO Max, first of all, it better be on Sunday. And if you're gonna put it on Sunday HBO Max, which it should be, you're gonna have to reach the standards of Last of Us, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Sopranos, 6 Feet Under, The Wire. If you're gonna get into that arena, you got to be at that level. So no, I don't think the bar could be raised high enough, personally. William, what's your opinion on the trailer for Adam Driver movie 65, I think, which is what it is, the time travel dinosaur movie? I have not seen it. I just haven't seen it yet. The premise of it sounds interesting, but I just haven't got a chance to see it. I might do a trailer watch on it tomorrow. William, black people always get shortchanged. February 28th. That's what I said, man. The hell. How you doing, Larry? Hello, 30s isn't bad, but I'll have more time on my plate than keeping up with countless interconnected DC movies and shows and games. Seems like kind of exhausting. If it's paced properly, like I personally would want him to put out 4 projects a year, but I understand that, logistically that may not be possible. But okay, so if you're using all of these levels, if you're using video games, you're using TV, and if you're using HBO, and if you're using animation, and you're using the big screen, you could properly pace that out to where it doesn't feel like you're having the world thrown at you. So that's what intrigues me. It's all about the organization and presentation. So if he presents one major project or 2 major projects on each of those platforms, it might look like a lot on paper, but as it's coming out, it may not be. So that's what I'm intrigued about. Darcipio, hello again. Hello. We Hispanics get September. Oh, yeah. It's Cinco de Mayo, too. Hey, brother. Okay. Most of the chatter about DC is still about Superman and Batman. Nobody's really talking about that. And that's the way it's going to be. When you talk about DC, the conversation begins with Superman and Batman. It revolves around Superman and Batman because the general audience doesn't know who any of these other people are. And if you are doing it right, and if he does it right, you use Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Wonder Woman. You use those as the sun that shines a light on all these other characters that you're doing. Like the creature command, that can't happen without Batman and Superman being the focal point of the entire universe. You got to have an attraction that brings people to DC. And the expectation for the last 80 years, when you think of DC, you think of Superman. When you think of comic book superhero, you think of Superman, Batman. So that is the expectation. So all he's really doing there is meeting the expectation that's been set. Now, does that mean we can't get some light on some of those other characters? No, it appears that he's going to have a balanced attack to other characters through the Trinity, through the major players. So, characters, some characters can get introduced through the Green Lantern show. Other characters can get revealed through Batman. Other characters, but those are the focal points. You can bring in the C-listers and the D-listers as long as you're bringing them in the context of them. Otherwise, people aren't going to pay attention. That's one of the reasons why Suicide Squad didn't do well, and it's one of the reasons why a lot of these other movies and Shazam doesn't make more than $400 million. And Black Adam, it's not because these are awful movies. Some of them are better than others, but it's because people aren't going to take the money out of their wallet for characters that they don't know. So if you want to get light on these characters, you have to put them in a situation that revolves around Batman, Superman, and so on. That's always been the way it's been. I don't see it not being that way for the next 50 to 80 years, personally. That's just good business. I still even doubt that some of these movies will release. It's just DC's track record of announcing films and canceling them. I'll just invest time in something else. That is a valid concern. I don't think that's going to happen with this one. I don't think that's going to happen with this one, simply because some of the projects he released are logistically very, very possible. And you have to realize that just from what I've heard since James Gunn has been head of DC Films is more organization and more balanced attack than anything that the previous 5 years and 7 years and 8 years did. You also have to look at who was making those presentations under the previous regime. They had no clue what they were doing. They had no understanding about the flow of the release of these characters. They had no understanding about prioritizing things and sticking with things. I don't see that here. I don't see that here. And you also didn't have HBO Max when previous organizations was putting a lot of this out. A lot of these things are not the high risk things that if you just announce them and it doesn't look like they're getting any traction, you're not going to spend $200 million to put it out. But you can experiment with HBO Max. So I personally think that while there may be adjustments to the slate that he put out yesterday, I think the majority of that stuff, if not all of it, is coming out. I hate dinosaur. I'm with dinosaur movies is the same place I'm at with zombie movies. It's got to be really good to get me going. William, did you hear the news about project that they couldn't announce because it would give too much away? No, I did not hear that. Like I said, Kingdom Come would make my day. Kingdom Come is the ultimate it is a Elseworld story. I would like if he did this is just me personally, if they did a Kingdom Come that they use the characters that we've had over 9 years, even if you're not going to resolve the original story arc. If you put out Kingdom Come and say, this is the wrap up, this is a transitional wrap up from this universe to the other, let someone else come back at some other time and finish the Darkseid arc. But if you say that we don't think you're a bunch of dummies that are going to forget the fact that you had 9 years of something that you never got into, we're going to give you a send off to these characters and we're going to use that to help lead into what we're doing. The fact that he mentions Elseworlds was created for situations like this. Elseworlds was created in the early to mid 90s because Crisis was a lot of independent writers and people who wrote other projects weren't on board with Crisis. And they wanted to tell stories that were outside of that singular universe that Crisis basically created. So you had creators and stuff come in and they wanted to do other things. That's why they created the Elseworlds brand. So if you have something like this where he's going to consolidate a universe and go forward, you can still have Elseworlds. Somebody who wants to go take, the storyboards and whatever and finish the Darkseid arc could do that and not impede on that. I know a lot of people before that that's stupid. It's going to be too confusing. Once again, if your audience is confused, one of the two is a dummy. All right. If you think that what I just laid out is confusing to an audience, your audience or the people presenting it are dummies. All right. And usually it's the presenter. It's the job of the presenter to make the audience understand. If your audience is confused about your product, you're a dummy and you need to move on and get another job. I don't think the audience is that stupid, and I don't think James Gunn is stupid, and I don't think people would be confused with a Superman story being told as long as you do exactly what James Gunn said yesterday, as you openly brand it as an Elseworlds. and it would work just fine. So if it's Kingdom Come, wow, dude. Like I said, 50% of the stuff about it I'm not too excited about, but I'm not hating on it because it's stuff I don't get now, like the Authority. I'm like, that's the comic sucked. But so did a lot of the Suicide Squad comics. So if he can use things that I'm not big on to tell an overall story, I'm okay with it. Just as long as you're leading with the Trinity and you're hitting me with the big guns, I'm open to these other things. I am truly excited about the Paradise Lost. I am truly excited about Swamp Thing. The Superman thing is like, it's going to be 50-50 as far as that goes, but I'm excited to see where it goes. The Batman family, I've never been a big fan of the Batman family because I think that each time you put another character in between Batman and a villain, there's only so much time to tell a story, and I like my Batman stories to be Batman stories. Batman family stories that are in comics, I have a lot of room and time and space to tell those stories. You only got 2.5 hours in the movie, and I want it to be about Batman. But you know what? I got Reeves Batman. They rumor for him to bring in a Dick Grayson. I think that would be stupid. But you know what? I can see it more with his Batman. But like I said, I've always thought Robin was a stupid concept to begin with. But you know what? I'm in the minority. But right now, I want the Batman to be what the story is about. All right, so all right, a police monitoring track. What's going on with you guys? How you doing, Forrest? All right, Chuck Bronson. I recommended it. What are you guys talking about? Emmanuel, after DCU works out, but I also having some interpretation of the characters across all media doesn't seem like a good idea. People like different interpretations to access. Once again, if he wants to do that with his mainline universe, that's fine. But what you said is very valid, though. People want different interpretations. Like I said, I'm not interested that much right now in a Bat family story, unless But if I hear Ben Affleck is directing it, then I'm going to slide a little bit more closer to it. But the Batman gives me the type of Batman story that I like. So that's an Elseworld story. So that's what I mean. This is what I always wanted DC to do, and I never understood why the previous regime couldn't get it through their skull that you can do these things and still have the integrity of your mainline universe. Film Goblin, I to not get invested. Did you say something before? Because that is it's just a random. Retype that for me, Film Goblin, because I don't see the other half of your comment there. All right, this new slate stinks. We will never get a proper ground swell telling story of the DC Universe, Creature Commandos, the Authority, Batman family. I'm with you on the Batman family. I'm that's one of the ones I was like, should these characters be on the roster right now? The Authority is not gonna have. I mean, it's not gonna be that big a deal. Creature Commandos, those are like what Guardians of the Galaxy was, but it would be different if we was giving me Creature Commandos, the Authority, without spearheading with a Superman movie and Batman. I don't agree with bringing in the Batman family. I'm with you there, but and I don't think it stinks. I think there are things in it that I'm less interested in the other. But you know what? I just do the same thing I did with Marvel. Half the Marvel movies I thought were complete wastes of time, a waste of time. But the half that I did enjoy, I got into. For every, Thor movie that was trash, I was an Iron Man movie that was good, or So you have to gravitate towards what's going to be. But the Batman family, listen, I don't like the idea of it, but I need to learn more about it. At what point are they coming into Batman's life? Because let's be honest with you, I like a singular Batman personally, but I wouldn't say it stinks. I would say that it's a mixed bag, but Marvel was a mixed bag, and whenever you go big, you're going to get a mixed bag because you're not going to please everybody. For example, I don't like DCU interpretation of Green Lantern. Well, DCU is what we got coming, so you haven't seen the DCU version of Green Lantern. I still have to deal with the interpretation all through the shows and the games. Well, that part, you need to let him explain how he's doing that first before anybody passes judgment on it. All that's been said is that we're linking them, but that doesn't mean that, plus when you're talking about the Green Lantern, you got 3,600 Green Lanterns, so we don't know what and where. And Green Lantern is the kind of thing that you could string together and still give different interpretations. Kilowog is not the same as Hal Jordan. Nort is not the same as Kyle Rayner. All right. Guy Gardner is not the same as John Stewart. So that it was so important. I think it is a good idea to bring in the Green Lantern and have them involved in every facet, because you can give different dimensions to the same IP. But it's not, if you're talking about Green Lantern, that's the one group that you would not get the same interpretation through. It would be interconnected, but like I said, what Green Lantern are we talking about? What storyline are we talking about? Green Lanterns can handle 10 different villains. The core is 3,600 Green Lanterns. Are they going to be on planet Earth? Are we going to be dealing with stories that are Hal Jordan, like you said, Hal Jordan and John Stewart on planet Earth, while another Green Lantern is out, helping out a different sector? You got to get a little bit more. We have to get a little bit more information before I can have that kind of speculation on that one. That's just me. Still rocking my No Cabo, No Money shirt. You know what? That is something I think that he should deal with. Whether it was an inherent and it's not his or not, it's still something. It is a pattern of disorganization that hangs over the entire franchise, whether he's responsible for it or not. I really hope that they do right by the people who invested in that storyline and that liked Henry Cavill and enjoyed Henry Cavill by giving him some type of send-off. You don't have to do it, but you know what? You have 40% odds of this being a success. Why not raise them? All right, Chuck Bronson, never heard of it. Charles Bronson. I'd like a proper Britannica storytelling of DC Universe that starts from the beginning and just keeps going with the most important stories. Maybe DC should be on HBO Max, a la Game of Thrones. You got to start. They're years away from that, though. I mean, I don't. And the thing about that is that's a high budget. If he's going to spend that kind of budget on superhero content, he's probably going to put the heart of it, and on the big screen. That was his mandate. Remember, he didn't want shows made for HBO. I'm surprised James Gunn got some of these shows that are HBO Max past him, because he didn't want stuff. He wanted the theater to be the priority, which I disagreed with, simply because this is not 1989. A lot of people watch streaming instead of TV. You're going to lose out on a lot of audience if you don't have things on streaming. Yeah, hopefully it follow through. I really like Snyder stuff, but it's really, really cool. Like I said, that's the biggest crisis of faith that they have. And it's not just with Snyder fans, it's with the general audience. They lost the general audience. That's why the movies didn't do well these last 5 years. The general audience just moved away. They're like, birds of what? Polka dot who? Shazam? Who's that? And they said, you know what? But I'm not giving you my money. Whereas I have all these other things that are being put out with, another comic company is hitting us with their mainline people for the most part. And they'll give the Eternals, who they hadn't heard about, a shot because of all the other stuff that they've given him. All the mainline Marvel characters have been taken care of. You got a steady diet of those, and they ran through their storyline. They followed through. And that's what hurts DC, is the fact that they have a history of not following through. And now you're asking an audience, a general audience who has walked away and gone on to other things, to come back to the same company that left them hanging before. That's where that 40% odds come from. Can it happen? Yeah, but they're going to have to do a lot of work outside of just this slate. They have to market this slate properly, and they're going to have to do some cleanup, to be honest with you. I mean, I got 2 years before any of these projects hit the screen. So what do I got to look at until then? A bunch of broken up shit that was never finished. That's not a good momentum builder. So I hope they address that. He's a bait car catcher with dishonest cops. Search just Boston bait car. What are your thoughts on Dave Bautista saying he's not attractive enough to star in a rom-com because he hasn't been asked to be in one, and he's always wanted to be in one? I think that's because people typecast him. I think Dave Bautista. I'm starting to believe that Dave Bautista can perform in any role that you give him, but there are people who are not going to give him roles because he's played the big, strong, muscle-bound character. I think if they were to watch Knock at the Cabin, I think that would change their mind, because he's great in this. And that's why it disgusts me when people say, he should play Bane. No, he wants to play Bane. Then that's why you don't get deep drama and romantic comedy and thought-provoking roles, because you know, people want him, you know, they automatically assume because he's 6'4", 260 pounds of muscle, that he can only play a bonehead muscle-bound enemy like Bane, who's one of Batman's worst enemies, in my opinion. That's the kind of thing that I think hurts his career, when people typecast him, you know, into meathead roles. He could do other stuff, and he's evolving. If you watch Dave Bautista from the first movie all the way through, go start with Blade Runner 2049, the first 10 minutes of that, and then you watch his movies throughout, and then you go see Knock at the Cabin, you'll understand what I'm saying. So I would like for him not to get stupid roles like Bane, and get more roles like who he plays in Knock at the Cabin. It's the same company, so if you're watching HBO Max, you're still okay. I hated Jurassic Dominion. Stop Dinosaur. My hands up. I am never been a big fan of Jurassic movies at all. I'm hoping Kingdom Come can unite a new cast with Henry Cavill and Batfleck. They said Batfleck is helping the architecture. I think Ben Affleck is going to direct the Batman movie. I don't think there's going to be any uniting between the new cast and the old cast, nor do I think there should be. I think the old cast should get the opportunity to wrap up their story arc, and then James Gunn should go ahead and do whatever he's going to do. But I think that people don't realize how important following through and completion is. Don't underestimate those two things. It's why DC's movies haven't done well. Nobody trusts them to follow through. So that is one thing that's going to have to happen. And in my opinion, regardless of the slate, like I said, we have 2 years of nothing hitting the screen other than the movies that were already made. So we have 2 more years of thinking about. The only thing we have to think about is what we have in front of us. Nothing new. We have the 4 movies, and hopefully they've engineered these new movies to do something to propel them into this new universe, but who knows? But like I said, the downside of this slate getting released is 2025 is most of these movies are 2.5 years away. So what are you doing in the interim to put your puzzle back together so you even have a chance of people going to those movies in 2025? So it starts here. It's not just by if you wait to repair things, and if you wait till the movies come out, if we're waiting till 2025 to fix the mess that is DC, then I think that those 40% odds become 20% odds and 30% odds. You know, so like I said, you must fix shit before you start shit. All right, if there's a multiverse and Elseworlds, there's no reason to have no more Cavill, Batfleck, or Cyborg. But you don't see. Here's the thing: you got to understand about multiverse and Elseworlds. They're not continuous, and there's no reason. To be honest with you, you don't want a continuous multiverse happening because it's too expensive, and you know it's just you just don't need it. Even when Elseworlds is not continuous things. When you talk about Elseworlds, if you look at the comics, Kingdom Come was a limited series. It was supposed to be just that one storyline, even though they've used characters. But Kingdom Come itself is one storyline. Gotham by Gaslight is one story. Superman Red Sun is one story. You know, they aren't. So even if you bought them back, it would only be for a limited one shot thing anyway. So if they did an Elseworlds to resolve the story, you're probably going to get like one movie or a small miniseries at best if they ever did anything. That's any Elseworlds anything, by the way. You're going to get a very limited amount. The only reason why you would get more with the Batman is because it's a pre-existing franchise prior to them taking over. But other things, you know, that are not the main line should be very limited. It just wouldn't be good business to have them going along, because then that wouldn't be confusing, but it just becomes too expensive and it becomes cluttered. So, but yeah, the reasons why you wouldn't have them more, you could have them, but like I said, it would be like one movie or 2 at the most. I really hope James is involving Jim Lee with his discussions and not James Johns, because James John, I'm not inside these meetings, but I know Jim Lee has a lot of influence on these things. And and I don't think that the egos of James Gunn would mix well with Jeff Johns, in my opinion. Boy, I'm a movie and Blu-ray poster collector. Can you save me anything to do with Cocaine Bear? I'll probably pay postage. It all depends if I get anything from Cocaine Bear, and it all depends. My priority is it has to go to the people here in local Las Vegas, because that's where the marketing team is directing their marketing campaign. The only time that I can do it nationally, sometimes I've done it recently, is if I'm doing a national campaign. And that you'll see me giving out my Fandango tickets and stuff, because those can be spent anywhere in America, and if they're drop shipping stuff, but a lot of the times it's too hard to send stuff out. He tried it with Black Adam. It wasn't cost effective, and we had a lot of issues with posters. So if Cocaine Bear is a national campaign, then I can do it. If it's not, then I'll have to wait until we hit our market, and then after the movie is over with and the campaign is over with, then if I have anything, then I'll start doing stuff like that. But I can't make any promises before the movie's released or the campaign begins. All right, Larry Crocker says, man, I know, dude, pay pennies. He's awesome. Yeah, that's going to be the most important thing, is that, like I said before, you cannot be indecisive pussies. You cannot listen to people, well, that's not my Superman. I hate Zack Snyder. Fuck you then. All right. If I'm the person that's taking the money and I have a group of people that is giving me the money, if you're not on board with it, you're not part of my plan. I'm not. Why am I capitalizing on you? Why am I giving you any oxygen? If you don't like the movies, that's fine. I probably should say fuck you, but you're not. If it's my business to make profit and increase profit, I missed with you. Sorry, but I didn't miss with the people who made Man of Steel $678 million. I didn't miss with the people who made BVS $871 million. All right. I need to make them the priority. And that's what following through does. You build the foundation of what worked. You make adjustments on the things that don't work, but you do not ever, and this is what the last the circus clowns did. You do not ever give deference to detractors when they are in the minority that the people who knock Snyder's movies were. You pay attention to the money. Money talks, bullshit walks. A fanboy can get on YouTube and Twitter and shit in his diaper for 8 hours straight. If he's not laying down the money that the guy who is laying down, fuck him. All right? When it comes to dollars and cents, and I'm steering a multi-billion-dollar franchise, all right, the pundit on YouTube or the anti-whatever guy who's not paying for anything can't be on my radar. I cannot be paying attention to him and ignoring the people that are giving you money. All right, you had a group of people that all he wanted to do is give you money for the last 9 years, and you wouldn't take it. So, but we listened to the people who wanted to shit on all Snyder's movies. You guys, those guys, as far as business perspective, you're great. I'm sorry you didn't like the movie. Go ahead and sit over here while I pay attention to these people with these bags of money. And you know what? I'm going to go forward with them. Now, if you got some ideas and I think I can adjust and tweak things that you might have brought up legitimately, yeah. But I'm not going to wholesale tear everything up just because some people whine that Henry Cavill frowned too much. Fuck that. That is why they went from making $871 million to what they're pulling in with Shazam. Yeah, they had Wonder Woman, but guess what? What DNA did Wonder Woman and Aquaman come from? Those characters got casted by Zack Snyder. Those characters came into this universe via his movies. So, the movies that the other guys spearheaded, Birds of Prey, the Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad lost them a ton of money. So, yeah, they need to follow through. And if you find a group of people that are supporting you and giving you the money, you build on them. You build on them. You can't please everybody. And with Hamada and Tushihara and Johns and all these other disconnected guys tried to do it, they tried to please a group of comic book fans who were never going to see their movies. All they were going to do was get online and have a shit fest. We were promoting those movies. There were people bashing BVS before it was even done. Those people were never going to give BVS a chance. But yet you gave them the ear. The previous management listened to them and didn't listen to us. We're standing here with two fistfuls of cash, and you ignored us and gave them what they wanted. And that's why they're all gone. That's why we have a new head of DC Studios. Darcipio. Okay, I don't know what you guys are talking about. William Wells, the creator, just delete Robin from the timeline. Yeah, I mean, I just never been. Listen, I know that people are like, well, Batman needs a Robin, and I know that when they first brought in Tim Drake, and Alfred's like, Batman needs a Robin. I'm like, I don't think so. He's a liability, and if you're thinking like, if you're using Batman's mind, you do what you do to keep people around you safe. So why would you put all these people in danger, especially a minor? Now, Damian Wayne's a different situation. He's an assassin. He's probably you're here there with him to keep him from killing other people, not the other way around. But what's Commissioner Gordon? Hey, Commissioner Gordon. Oh, hey, by the way, isn't that child endangerment? I'm a police officer. I don't think I can let that go for too much longer. But you know what? I always enjoy the storylines where Robin gets killed or knocked off. I dialed the 900 number. I voted to kill Robin, and with no qualification that he be brought back. I didn't want another Robin. I thought I was killing Robin for good back in 1988, but oh well. Oh yeah, Mara, we're talking about a YouTuber, Chuck Bronson, who has a bait car to catch dishonest cops, and he just films cops working in general. Okay, never heard of him, but that's interesting. All right, is that really a make a gun that you aim at the victim and it sends a dinosaur after them instead of a bullet? All right. I follow James Freeman. Man, Golden Swamp Thing will be gold. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. If he gives me anything like he gave me with Logan, I'm down for it, man. All right, we're at 45 minutes. All right, what up, Larry? Film Goblin. Nah, I don't think so. Okay, so let's see. You guys are having your own conversation, which is cool. So I'm going to let you have that. Kenneth Crowley Jr. Hey, William. Hope you're doing well. I'm excited about the new DCU Slade. Sure, there's stuff is I'm concerned about, but I'm open-minded to this DC James Gunn setting up one of two. The stuff I'm excited for is Superman, Supergirl, and what's going on with the Batman as well as the Amazon. See, for me, and I almost forgot, the Supergirl storyline that they may be adapting, or he actually said he's adapting, is fucking wonderful. All right. Woman of Tomorrow. We were on Enosh's show last night. I had the issues in my hand. I have that entire series at the store, and you can get it in a collected edition. That is a great story. It is some of Tom King's best work, arguably. And it thrills me that they're taking, if you're going to bring Supergirl in, that is a great story to bring her in through. The Amazon series is, like I said, the picture he showed and the fact that he said Game of Thrones, I was sold right there. Don't hold back though. If you read that series, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in that series. It's very brutal. It's very violent, and they're literally, I think they're literally mating with sailors against their will. So if you're gonna do it Game of Thrones styles, don't hold back. I'm saying don't put gratuitous stuff in there, but put the stuff in there that fits the storyline. And there may be some stuff in there that might shock superhero fans that didn't read that story. What I was saying was Gunn confirmed that his half of the reboot, not a full reboot, makes it not want to get invested in this slate because it's the same crap the Dole regime. No, like you were saying last night, and I disagreed there. This is nothing like what those previous fools did. Nothing. First of all, what he's doing, that's not he's not doing a reboot. He's not doing a soft reboot. He's not doing any reboot. All right. And the word he even used the improper term, in my opinion, reset. If you have been near a comic book series or any amount of comic book stories for any measure of time, I'm going on 40 years. All right. I started collecting when I was 8. I'm 48 now. What James Gunn, and he's speaking in comic book terms, which is the first time and I've seen a head of a studio speaking this one. Even Kevin Feige didn't speak in the type of terms he's talking about. All right. This has been going on for 50 years. Whenever a writer takes over a book or a group of books, they do a review. They take the pillars, the characters that they can use going forward, the super important ones that you can't replace anyway, because they're just too part of the lore. And they do what's called selective realignment with the other ones. A good example of it is like what Hickman did. He did it. He did it a lot more. But what the X-Men did wasn't a reboot. That was a realignment. Those histories are still there. All right. When other people have taken over X-Men, they've retconned their stories and realigned their stories to go with what that character is going forward, allowing them to keep that character if they want to, but under their circumstances. But other characters stayed the same simply because they had no narrative reason to change them. It's been happening in comics like on a monthly basis for literally 50 years. That's all he's doing. Reboot is not what he's doing. And there is no such thing as a partial or soft reboot, by the way. All right. That's like being, come on. That's, but I understand that most people are not going to read these comics. Some of us will, but the general audience is not going to understand that. And I said before, we throw around reboot and nobody knows what the fuck it means. If you knew what reboots meant, any consequences of reboots, you would know that was never going to happen. I always say reboots are synonymous with stupidity. All right. And I keep saying these aren't stupid people that we're dealing with now. They know the ramifications and consequences of reboots. That's why they're not doing one. All right. Now, in comparison to what the old regime is doing, first of all, the old regime danced around the Trinity because they had fucked so many people over, actors and fan-wise, that they didn't know what to do with it. They were terrified to go forward with it because they knew people would shoot them down because they know how they shit on Superman. That's why he's off the air for 5 years. And when's the last time Aquaman was released? What, 18? We're in 2023? All right. So what they wanted to do is buy themselves time and give you B and C listers, thinking that would distract people, not understanding that it is about Superman, it is about Batman, it is about Aquaman, it is about Wonder Woman. It always will be. All right. So instead of properly utilizing those characters, when whatever they were going to do, realignment or not, they just disappeared. And like I said before, if your plan B isn't better than the plan A that you're currently on, then you don't mess with plan A. If you don't have a better plan going forward, then you don't touch the one. By nature of the fact that James Gunn has a fan, whether you like the plan or not, he has a plan going forward, whereas the previous knuckleheads didn't know what the hell they were doing. They had no plan. All they know that they did is they didn't like what Snyder was doing, but they couldn't provide anything better. That is where they failed. That is where the comparisons between what James Gunn and Safran are doing and what the previous regime are doing, it is not even remotely close. All right? It is not even remotely close. And audience, please stop using the word reboot. Most of the people uttering the term do not know what the fuck they are talking about. They don't even know what a reboot is. All right? If you truly understood what reboot was and the kind of shitstorms it causes and the damages it causes the franchise and the statistical fact that most reboots fail, stop using that word. All right? It's not anyone's fault that people don't know what that term means. Just don't use it. All right? You don't know what nuclear fusion does unless you're into that. If you don't know, don't use those terms. Stop spreading these stupid ass terms that most people don't even know what the fuck they mean. Year long reboot. We need to reboot. Be better off with reboot. You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about in most cases. And I'm not aiming this at you, Film Gob. I'm aiming this at the general populace that has been ranting about reboot. It's just like they opened up a dictionary and found the hardest word that they could find and said, I'm going to pronounce that word, and now I know what that means. No, you don't. And now they're all confused. Well, I don't understand why it's not a full reboot. Because you didn't understand what the fuck the term reboot meant in the first place. You should have stopped using it a year ago. Stop using that fucking term. You don't know what it means, and you don't know what the damage that it does. Look at DC's paper medium. Look what the wonderful job the reboots have done for DC comic sales. Awesome, right? All right, and not only were you guys talking about a reboot, but you're talking about an intergenerational reboot, which is almost certain to fail. So what he's doing here, like I said, is selective real. It's been going on in comics since the John Byrne era of X-Men. All right. Every writer has given creative licenses to do their thing and move things around and retcon things. I don't know how many times DC characters have been retconned since Crisis. Even though we were supposed to have one singular universe, right? It's been going on for 50 years. What James Gunn is doing and saying, and when he was on Twitter today, is nothing different than anything. And let me bring up this, and this is the thing that just drives me just absolutely crazy. All right, because yes, I know. So I'm talking to myself. So let's bring up. All right, so let's bring up this Twitter. I'm gonna show you. This aggravates the hell out of me. And go. All right, so we got this guy. Then I'll read it. James, I'm seriously confused. How is Viola Davis still playing Amanda Waller? Aren't you rebooting DC 100%? That includes Peacemaker, the whole Suicide Squad, and the Snyderverse. Like you said, Robert Pattinson's Batman and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is Elseworld story. And he answers, nope. Flash resets many things, but not all things. Some characters remain the same, and some do not. All right? There's a term for that. Selective, realignment. He never said he was doing a reboot. And to be honest with you, the reset is almost as useless as a term because that's not what he's doing. He is selecting the aspects of the story he wants to use going forward and altering others. Reboot is 100% thing. There is no partial reboot. And the reset, like I said, just use the proper term. But because nobody knows what these terms mean and the ramification of these terms, reboot. I had so many people saying reboot like it was a period to a sentence. Didn't know shit one of what that entails. But we're banting it about. He just needs to do a reboot. I'll be glad when they do a reboot. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't even know, and now all those people are confused now because they never knew what the hell they were talking about to begin with. And now the guy who's doing the selective realignment is telling you what it is. But he's coming from a comic book world, and these are comic book movies. All right? This has been going on since literally the 70s, all right? So stop it with the reboot nonsense. I've been saying this for a year and a half. Reboot equals stupidity, and stupid people, they're the ones that are gone. The smart people don't do full reboots. And the fact that he's not doing one reinforces what this might be the right guy. All right, so stop. This is not directed towards anybody in my chat, but I'm tired of hearing that term used in a way that just pisses people off because the reason why you don't do reboots is because you're basically telling the people who've been along with you this time that everything that they've been through the past 9 years is worthless. He doesn't want to do that, and rightfully so. I'm glad the smart person is running the show. Ugh. Okay. It's supposed to be a low blood pressure show, but all right, didn't see you. Hello. You guys take forever to say hello to each other. Yeah, I mean, we still got time. Just watch Wakanda Forever, Enosh. Enosh isn't here. Visual effects underwater don't look as impressive as Aquaman. I think they were different. I think they were both great, but they were different. Aquaman was a different type of underwater movie. No, if you're going to blame anybody about any DCL, you got to blame the previous people. Regardless, I think a proper story leading to the buildup of Darkseid. Gunn is probably going to pick some random big bad. I don't want, be honest with you. I don't, unless he's going to use the Darkseid that Zack Snyder used. I really hope he stays away from Darkseid until it's time to tell that story, and at which case you can use your Elseworlds, because remember, Darkseid exists. He's in the multiverse. There's only one Darkseid. There's not a Darkseid for this universe. There's not a Darkseid for that universe. There's only one Darkseid. Apocalypse and New Genesis sits outside the multiverse. So anything that happens does not happen to them. No reboot or reset should affect them. All right, William. how do you want this younger Clark Kent to be in this new CCU? More like Henry, like Tyler or Superman or Lois show, or give us something new. I'm not a big fan of. I know a lot of people like that show. I'm not a huge fan of Superman and Lois. I gave it a shot. It just didn't do anything for me. Um, I'm not sure. I really don't want to wrap my head around that because I don't know what kind of story he's telling. He told me he has a younger Superman. Okay, younger in what way? Younger that just got to just became Superman, or how long has he been Superman? It depends because Superman's life stories and where he's at in life weigh heavily upon what kind of story you should tell. Like Man of Steel and Zack Snyder's was just that. That's a young Superman. He's basically in the late 20s, early 30s. If you're just becoming the kind of God that Superman was viewed at, how do you do that? How do you view that? Brand new Superman, still getting used to his powers, still getting used to the fact that he's a Kryptonian and fighting the only other Kryptonians out there. Or are you going to say he's been Superman for 5, 6, 7 years and that he's past that stage? In order to answer your question, Kenneth, I would need to know where he is, how just exactly where he put him. Then I could give you more. Otherwise, I'm just talking out of my ass. Trigon. You're talking about Trigon, the Raven's father? How you doing, Daniel Martin? He could do Hugo Strange. Hugo Strange looked a lot like Sapper Morton did in Blade Runner. I have the role that I think that Dave Bautista should play, and like I said, I'm working on a video to do that with later on. I wouldn't go with the Red Lantern Corps yet. The Red Lantern Corps, you got to establish the Green Lantern Corps first, and then bring them in years down the line. That's just me. Don't care about zombies as much, but Bautista was fantastic in Army of the Dead. Yeah, like I said, he's getting increasingly better with each movie he's in. I think Ezra's done after the Flash. Gal Gadot's surely going to move on. She will be hitting her 40s, while Superman will be in his mid 20s. Momoa might have one more film of bye. I think that if Aquaman 2 breaks more than 750, they're going to have at least one more with him, if not more. As far as Gal being in her 30s, she doesn't look 40, and she's playing an immortal Amazon. As far as that being lining up with the Superman that's younger. So you guys got to understand, that doesn't matter. Just because he's using a young Superman doesn't mean he can't use these characters. If he realigns his story to where it's not going to matter to Aquaman how old Superman is. It's not going to matter to Wonder Woman how old Superman is, or Batman. It all depends, because the original Batman wasn't a 50-year-old Batman like Ben Affleck was, and that worked just fine. And Clark Kent was 15 years younger than him in that movie. So it's all depends on how he lines his story up. If you line your story up and the focal point is Superman, and you reintroduce elements, or you use the Flash to realign elements, then it's not going to matter. It's the story that you end up with on the other side of what he does with Flash. Only certain elements have to be, to be realigned to make that make sense. That's what you do when you want to do that. You're judging. People are judging on what might be going forward based on what we have now. Superman could be 25 years old and still be aligned with Jason Momoa's Aquaman. All right, that age really never factored in that. If Superman's age doesn't really factor in any of his interactions with any of these guys, so he can realign it however he wants to. I think that he's not directing the Batman movie. It was a weird statement as usual. He said he said he's working on it with him. I've seen quotes on that one. Actually, that was part of the article. If you read those articles, I would bet good money that it would be Affleck. But the weird statement that you saw was closer to that than not. All right, Marcus Cruz, Trigon will make a terrible league villain. Yeah. And Trigon and Constantine, people are like, Justice League Dark. Probably zero chance you get a Justice League Dark before you get the legit Justice League. People, there they go again, shooting forward into the future. We're not there yet, I don't believe. Just make Darkseid versus Trigon movie and JL. No, that would bomb. I know HBO Max is the same company. Just watching the movies there is not contributing to the box office performance. I mean, it's going to end up giving them $1 billion a month. That's more than any box office could ever give them. So you're actually giving them, collectively, we're giving them more through HBO Max than we will ever give them. I mean, if you get up to 60-something million subscribers, especially with this merger, and you're bringing HBO online all over the world into markets that Discovery has that HBO didn't have, you're eventually going to build $1 billion a month of revenue, especially with new Game of Thrones, stuff like that, everything going on that. So collectively, you're giving them $12 billion a year. There is no set of movies that's going to give them $12 billion a year. So I agree with the point following through. From fan investment shouldn't be taken for granted. Aside from that, are you into the new Blackula graphic novel? I have been directed to that. I will have that at the store. If we're talking about the same one, I got to pull up my order sheet. But my guy who does my comics for me was telling me about something. I think we're talking about the same thing. But yes, the fan investment is big. The emotional investment is big. And I hope James Gunn understands that. Is Gunn going to be on Twitter for the next 2 years combating false reports? Or do we get I think he'll get a Superman movie done. I think he can walk and chew gum at the same time. I think as he gets more and more of this out, that stuff will do the talking for him. I think and I would like to see him engage on YouTube and do his own shows and do things. I've always advocated for him to be addressing us on New Comic Day. Every Wednesday, I should hear James Gunn for 15 minutes. If he does that, he does not have to combat on things on Twitter because he's already saying it out loud. Right now, he had to keep so many things under wrap. He was limited in the battles he could choose. If he gets on a wide-ranging, platform that reaches everybody all at once, and he puts this out there, a lot of this stuff is going to get cut down just by the fact that he's doing that. Nothing stopping Levi, Momoa, Gadot, Cena, Davis from continuing, but no more Cavill, Affleck, or Fisher. Well, Fisher, listen, if I'm a brand new company and I'm in charge, whether you support Ray Fisher or not, a lot of people are just not going to take on that baggage. All right? It's not theirs to take on. The people who wronged Ray Fisher are gone. They aren't the people that are currently, not even the same ownership. So the Fisher situation, and he opted not to be part of these things. So Fisher coming back, it has less to do with any of that than the fact that that's just a situation that a brand new studio head is just not going to be bothered with. And here's the thing. I'm going to keep this up here for a while. One doesn't mean anything to the other. Levi, Momoa, and Miller, and Godot, and Cena, and Davis combined mean nothing in comparison to the role of Superman. None of those characters are the focal point of anything. They are complementary characters that can run alongside any version of Superman. Superman is the access point. Superman is the nuclear reactor in the submarine. Superman is the heart and brain of what you're doing. Superman is the sun to this solar system. These other things that you're comparing to that, they're crumbs. They're crumbs. The access point to control this universe that he is 100% liable for is Superman. As much as I want to see Cavill finish what he was starting, I would be a hypocrite if I've always said, let the storyteller tell the story. Fans don't tell stories. We watch them. Storytellers tell stories. I would be an absolute hypocrite if I said, well, I want you to tell your story. Oh, but I want you to use some other director, some other creator, Superman. Now, these other characters, even though they have come from another creators, they're not Superman. Superman is the engine. These other parts, you ever seen those cars that have shit falling off of them and they still run? Those are what these characters are. But and he needs to direct Superman, by the way. He doesn't need to hand that off. Superman is the control lever. All right. He is how you are shaping all of this. These characters, other characters, are not. They are the pieces. He is the core. So if you are going to control the solar system, if you are going to control your nuclear submarine, you must have the engine that you want in there. I completely understand that. And there is no comparison to the other situations that these characters represent. All right. None of Shazam, none of these characters that are represented here are literally, they amount up to nothing when compared to what Superman means to the universe. So if he's going to put his stamp on this universe, that this is his legacy. If this goes bad, it goes with him forever. If it goes great, then he heaps of praise. But if he's going to be in the captain's chair, he's got to have a little bit of control over the main parts of the ship. But the comparison between these characters, it's nil. It's like comparing a pea to an entire farm. All right, I know why can Snyderverse be an Elseworlds focused Batman is Joker is okay, you're asking a question that nobody has said no to yet. The very fact that you have Elseworlds in the conversation of a studio head in a main presentation, the first things you hear out of his mouth, the first 6 minutes we hear out of his mouth, we hear Elseworlds. Whenever you have Elseworlds as part of the dynamic, nothing is off the table, including that. All right, that is literally why Elseworlds exist. All right, exactly. It's not a cast and story completion should be an Elseworld movie done. I'm on board with that. Our series, Joker and Batman Elseworlds okay, but no Snyderverse. Once again, guys, who has said no to this? If Elseworlds is on the table, all things are possible at any given time. Do not assume things that have not been stated. That's all I'm saying. Elseworlds should be a short film, classic comics, Killing Joke, Dark Knight. Elseworlds is anything that doesn't fit in the mainline universe. That's literally what the definition of what Elseworlds was created to be. Okay. Rome wasn't built in a day, guys. We got 6 minutes of a partial slate. Don't tattoo yourself into a no that hasn't been given yet. Yeah. Anything that's not in the mainline universe will be Elseworlds. Are you in art books? I recently released Making of House of the Dragon art book. Yeah. Oh, dude, and there's even more. Did you see the original series as art? There's like 3 books for those. The concept art, the concept drawing. I think I have those at the store. Lex, next time I'm doing a show at the store, remind me. I want to flip through those. I am into art books. I love Julie Bell. I love Boris Vallejo. Frank Frazetta is my favorite overall artist, and I have books for those at the store. So I'm mainly into fantasy art books, but obviously Game of Thrones is. But yeah, we'll go over some of those books that I have at the store. I like to think he's keeping the multiverse stuff, Future Elseworlds, Snyderverse, a secret, but they're doing. I think what'll happen is like I said, leaving that possibility open doesn't derail what he's doing. He hasn't stated that he's doing it yet, but he hasn't stated that he's not. And the fact that you have Elseworlds in there, you never know. You just never know. They're just using Elseworlds able to justify movies already in progress. No, that I disagree with. I think he's got a little bit more than 2 or 3 brain cells in his head. Not as a label to force an actual Elseworlds. Nah, in the example he gave the existing examples, but the example he gave clearly indicates that they will be doing things outside of their main universe. All right, I don't know what you read into that. I read something different. All right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, I see where you're coming from because he used the basic ones that we have at us. But like I said, it's just only the first 6 minutes, guys. We're just getting started here. Let this snowball get bigger. Open your mind to some I know it's hard because all we've been getting has been let down and nonsense. But this guy has enthusiasm. He has a plan. I don't like all the plan, but the shit I do like, I'm down for it, man. And guess what? If you give me 50% of the stuff I like that that I'm going for, guess what I'm going to do? Human nature. I'm going to give that other stuff a chance. There's plenty of shit that I'm like, I'd never touch that. That looks stupid. But once I got into with that creator's other stuff, I'm like, I took a look, and that's what the general fans are going to do. And he said Affleck isn't directing Brave and the Bold, but is helping with the architecture of DCU and directing something so weird. Larry, I don't want to bet anybody because I'm having a hard time shipping shit out to people, but I could be 100% wrong. I have no insight. I think he's directing Brave and the Bold. All right, I think that's the perfect project for him. That gives him his Batman movie. I can't think of another project that he would be working on. So yeah, but you could be right. How do you think they'll explain Damian Wayne? I don't know. See, like I said, I need to know at what point, because there's different points in Damian's life and Batman's life that they've entered each other. Is this going to be he just discovered that it's done and he's just become Robin, or has he been Robin for a while? Or are we talking about the 10, 12-year Damian Wayne that's, that first becomes Robin? Or are we talking about a Robin who's been Robin for a while? These are questions I'm going to need as he fleshes this out. And he hasn't given us a plot yet. And there's no script, so it's kind of hard. I think they will explain, because he's the grandson of Ra's al Ghul. There's no way around that. So I'm looking forward to the explanation. If they can have a live action Damian Wayne happening, I feel the audience can understand a Batman Beyond, even though I'm cracked about it. I don't think, listen, guys, there's no action at why Batman Beyond has not been live action. I don't think a lot of people want to invest money into a Batman that is not Bruce Wayne. All right. Or that Bruce Wayne is not the primary Batman. Even we were talking last night, well, that's a Dick Grayson picture with him, with Damian Wayne in it. It doesn't matter. The general audience sees fucking Bruce Wayne. All right. This is Bruce Wayne. The general audience, the non-geek, is Batman has to be Bruce Wayne. At least for the most part. So I don't Batman Beyond is not, that Batman is not Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is around, but that's an iconic separation you'd be making. And like I said, it's not like Batman Beyond had the greatest viewership, by the way. I was there when it was released. It only had a couple seasons, but I know a lot of you guys love it. But the biggest stumbling block that you have with Batman Beyond is you're putting a Batman on screen that isn't Bruce Wayne. I don't know if that's I think that's a non-starter. But it's James Gunn. James Gunn gives me a weasel. James Gunn gets me Captain Boomerang. So if there's anybody that's going to put Batman Beyond on screen, it's going to be James Gunn, because he's not going to base it on the merits of anybody actually wanting to see the character. He's going to say, that's a unique character. Maybe give that a try. But if you're doing it on the merits of what the character can draw, it's a Batman that's not Bruce Wayne. You're probably not going to get that. But James Gunn's mind works in different ways. It's your best shot. Anything that you thought was completely off the table, with this guy at the helm, he gave you a fucking weasel. All right? That's coughing up shit. Ugh. All right. Heard that. Oh, William, if the Flash flick bombs, I think it will. Wow. Damn, Darth. Jeez. Will that throw a wrench into Gunn's plans? No, not at all. That wasn't his movie. Even if they re-engineered the movies, for the most part, is an Andy Muschietti movie that was shepherded in by the regime. Because like I said, if I don't think the Flash is going to bomb. I have heard nobody who's been close to the movie say it's nothing but excellent. James Gunn has seen it and said it's the greatest superhero movie he ever saw. So I doubt that the Flash is going to bomb. Reset, reboot makes no difference. Yes, it does, film. No. Okay, reset, reboot, it makes no difference. If the story Snyder set out to make didn't have a resolution before doing a reset is bad. No, okay, that's 100% wrong, because the story that he set out had a reset in it, because he never meant for his stories to go beyond the core story, to go beyond five anyway. It was supposed to be the 3 Justice League movies, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and then there may have been other movies after that. But the core 5 story arc, the Darkseid arc was what was there. If you do, it wouldn't really matter, because even if you did a reboot, and he's not, because reboots are stupid, if he does a realignment, an Elseworlds storyline is outside of all that. So you can't just ignore the Elseworlds platform when saying things like this, because it's literally there to counter and circumvent what you're saying, regardless of whether it was a reboot or reset or not. It's not. Even the realignment. All right, Elseworlds exist outside of whatever the main continuity is. That is the point of Elseworlds. So I don't need him to resolve it immediately. I just need to know that it's going to be resolved. Be honest with you, because like I said, it looks bad for us to be sitting around 2 years waiting for a new DCU when all we have to stare at is a broken one. But there is a difference. Affleck will not direct something. Cavill will not come back for future stuff. That's just the industry talk to soften the blow. Based on what? Soften the blow of what? See, this is the kind of stuff that you guys, those gears get going in your head and they just go. All right. Based on, why would you say that? Maybe we can work again in the future. Don't hold your breath. No. That's, Affleck will not be directing. So why would he say that? Soften what blow? You haven't had Affleck in 5 years? Soften what blow with Cavill? You haven't had him in 5 years. The blows are already there, dude. I mean, you're not going to undo those blows. So why say that kind of stuff? James Gunn has a good relationship in Hollywood. And unless you can read James Gunn's mind, we don't know what the hell he's going to do. And only idiots burn bridges. And nobody involved in that situation seems to be an idiot. Cavill's not an idiot. James Gunn is not an idiot. Safran's not an idiot. So I don't, why, I mean, there's no basis for this comment. I'm sorry, man. I just don't see it. All right. You're assuming something based on what? What are you basing this on? That's not even industry talk, dude. Industry talk, you don't say shit like that because you know you're going to be working with these people sooner than later. Hollywood's a small world, man. If Gunn is resetting after Flash and keeping everyone except Cavill, Affleck, Fisher. Okay, stop bringing up Ray Fisher, because even if Fisher is not coming back, he pulled himself out of this situation. He was looking for an apology for people who are not with the company anymore. The new company is not going to inherit that issue. They're just not. Would I like to see Ray Fisher back again? Yeah, but that's not James Gunn's doing. That situation preceded him. All right, it's weird because they're arguably the best character, but they're not his. You're telling someone to take on those main characters. All right. And it's going to be his job to run this. You're asking him to use someone else's tool to work on his engine. And you're asking him to use the most important tools, the focal points, someone else's focal points on something that is going to be his legacy. Possibly beyond, and if it works, possibly on his time on this planet. If you're working on your legacy, you want your interpretations of those characters, just like Zack Snyder had. So, yeah, I agree they are the best characters, but they're not his interpretations of those characters. I mean, you don't go out and hire somebody and put a leash on them like that and expect good things. You know what? I understand that he needs to do this. I understand why he needs to do this. The people you should be angry about are the people who are no longer with the company, because they're the ones that screwed this up. But once again, we need to stop assembling the picture in our head and let the person who's actually being paid to do it build that for us. All right. Right now, we're witnesses. We're playing a guessing game, and we're not good at it, to be honest with you. None of us are. The Amazon series would go two ways. It should become the Xena Warrior Princess or Spartacus Blood and Sand. Xena Warrior, it's not going to be the comedy. You know, Xena Warrior Princess has some comedic outlets to it. I think it's going to be far, far more brutal than Xena ever was. But Spartacus Blood and Sand, I think that's what we're going to get. and I'm hoping he doesn't hold back. Everything that's in Spartacus Blood and Sand needs to be in Lost Paradise, in my opinion. All right. I find it funny that all these YouTubers swore Gunn was doing a reboot when Gunn never said he was, and it turned out to be no reboot. Listen, this YouTuber, I understand what you're saying, and I know who they are. I just blew my wad on those people. He never said that shit. And I've been saying this entire time that he was probably not going to do that because it's stupid. He doesn't come off as a stupid person to me. Safran does not come off as a stupid person to me. And Reboot was stupid. I understand there was going to be some, just like the comic book world has been doing for 50 years, realignment and going forward with the main things and the things that you want. If there are certain aspects of a story that if you're writing an X-Men story and you need a certain character to be your mold of that character, but you can keep the other characters in there and retcon certain things out of it, that's what you do. It happens every month in comics. Been happening for 50 years now. All right. But when you do, that has success. That's how you do things successfully. That's how Paramount was able to come in behind Cockrum and do things successfully. That's how people were able to come in behind Paramount successfully. They charted their own path, but they didn't get rid of everything. They didn't reboot everything. Hickman sort of did, but if you read Hickman, a lot of that lineage is the same shit, that came before. And that's dramatic. But if you look at the main reboots that have happened since 1986, they've all been stupid. Crisis was supposed to give you one singular universe. What happened? Immediately after Crisis, 1987, we started getting alternate universes. We get Zero Hour. We get tons of Elseworld stuff from realities that were not supposed to exist after Crisis. All right. And so the last 35 years, they've been undoing the first major reboot that they ever did, one that was unnecessary. And every reboot after that has been stupid and has hurt DC's brand. Zero Hour hurt the brand. Rebirth hurt the brand. All right, New 52 hurt the brand. Yeah, you had a spike in sales for those particular events, but the long-term damage of reboots is real. Stupid people, smart people don't do stupid things. And a reboot would have been stupid. And I said, you look at Point Extra Lounge and anything I've said for this entire time. At the one time I said, reboots are stupid. Don't do them. Most reboots fail. Reboots, I've said, reboot is synonymous with stupidity. All right? And I doubted that he was going to do this. And I pointed out over and over that he hadn't said that he's going to reboot anything. Everybody else assumed that they were going to reboot because, once again, we don't know what the term means. We're saying shit without understanding shit. You're saying that big word that you picked out of the dictionary and you don't know what the fuck it is. All right? You're getting that 13-word phrase or word and a thesaurus without looking at the meaning, without looking at the definition. It sounds cool. It makes me sound smarter. Let's go ahead and throw it around. And that's what people have been doing for the last year and a half with Reboot. And James Gunn never said he was going to do that. No, he never even used the word reboot, and as far as I know. And the word he is using, it really isn't the proper term. But I understand, as the comic geek that I've been, I understand exactly what he's doing. So yeah, it drove me crazy, man. Superman and Batman got rebooted. That thing, you don't. That's not. Once again, there is no such thing as a singular reboot within an existing universe, right? Selective realignment. Please adopt that term. Yeah. A reboot means everything. All right. You don't just partially flush some shit down the toilet. If it doesn't go all the way down the drain, your shit ain't working. You need to get a plumber. I feel the same. Well, I feel I follow through with any of this. It's the same stuff. Like I said, I understand where you guys are coming from with that. But we can either chase our own tails for the last 5 years, or we can turn our heads towards something new. Only Calvin and Affleck are to convert and be gone. Affleck by a rumor, by the way. And like I said, as far as playing Batman, but if he's directing a Batman movie, which I, based on my own gut, think he is, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take an Academy Award-winning filmmaker directing Batman. Even if it's the Batman family, I'm in. Hey, how you doing, Tehran? All right, Daniel, what's up? It's just funny because Cavill was the one everyone agreed was good. Snyder fans and plebes alike. Even Giannis agrees with you, but Superman is the focal point of what he has been tasked with. He has to have a Superman that fits the story that he's going to tell. I don't like that, but I understand that. The spiritual successor, spiritual sequel. Okay, what are you guys talking about? Retake? No, no, no. All right, Black Star. When I hear the word reboot, I think of the TV show. If you lose in a new game, you get nullified or deleted because the user customer is unforgiving. Yeah, that's irony. Wrong. Reboot is kind of like no. Oh, guys. Oh, Ron Williams reboot is kind of like resetting at this point. Well, wasn't it James Gunn who wanted the full reboot? No, he never said that. No, no, he never said that. And even if that's for argument's sake, he did say that. Never said it. Okay, let's say he did say that. As he dives into the situation and gets appointed the job and looks at the reality of the situation, he realized that it was a dumb idea, and he went forward with what he's doing now. A reboot is not a reboot and reset. Like I said, a reboot would be if he's starting with a brand new Superman and a brand new universe from that Superman. But if he's putting a new Superman along pre-existing characters, all he's doing is realigning things. He's using the flashpoint or whatever the hell you want to call it. He's keeping what he wants. He's cherry picking is what he's doing. But a reboot means all of that would be gone. And he's not. That's not gone. So reset is not really the accurate term. It's selective realignment. He is selecting what he wants to use going forward and reimagining what he wants to tell. But that universe is going to be a composite. That's not a reboot. Reboot, you start over. So, like I said, and even still, the way people were using the word reboot for the last year and a half was some of the most dumbest and inane stuff I'd ever heard. I'm like, do you understand what you're saying? And you understand the odds of that happening. That's all I'm saying. I just said it, man. I just said it over and over again. Superman is the most important person in this project going forward. The project that he is in charge of. It is like, all right. So I'm coming in, and I'll use a sports analogy because I think that makes it simple. I'm coming in, I'm buying a team, and I'm the GM of a team, right? I'm the GM of a team, and I'm tasked with getting that team back on track. The new owner wants a faster team, a longer, lengthier team. He doesn't want a big plotting guys, whether it's hockey or basketball or football. He wants different dynamics to his team. All right. If I'm the owner and I'm the general manager, the coach of that team is the one that's going to, and the GM are the ones that are going to get me the players I need to get to this outcome. The player I have, the other players are cool. All right. I got a good tight end. I got a good wide receiver. I got good tackles. But what's going to dictate how that team is run and that team flows, it's going to be a combination of the coach and the quarterback. All right. A GM and a coach, if they're being tasked to take over something, most times are going to, let's say, inherited, like, the greatest, but even still, they probably wouldn't be on those new jobs if they had that. They're going to want to build that team around their guy. They're probably going to trade that Cavill type character. They're going to trade him for somebody that fits the dynamic that they have been given or they are choosing going forward. All right. Their control of that team and how that team runs is going through that singular individual. I don't need to switch out the tight end necessarily. I don't need to switch out the wide receiver. I just need to switch out the guy who is running that or who is the core of that. That quarterback is the most important person on my team. And I want my guy in there if I'm going to bring my vision to fruition. The fact that Superman is the most important character, that by definition means that to the one he's going to have to shift and shape into what he's doing. That's just the way, that's the way it's going to work. His ass is on the line for this. This is his legacy. And if it's your legacy, you get to make those decisions. Now he's going to pay the consequence. If this doesn't turn out right and this bombs, the same leeway that he's been given, his ass is going to be on fire in 4 years if we're talking about a bunch of movies that just don't do well narratively or momentum wise. You know what? But that Superman is the quarterback. And if that previous quarterback isn't with the offense you want to run, then you get another quarterback, the one that fits what you're doing. If your quarterback is a stationary quarterback that just stakes in the pocket and throws, and that's not your offensive game plan, and you got another guy who's a better, more athletic, even if he has a lesser arm, that's the guy you're going with. You're going to go with the main cog that fits what you're doing. It's just that simple, guys. No, I took your question seriously. Nah, I mean, we're not at that level yet. Now, if these movies suck, but shit, we got 2 years before I die and I vomit. I think Kevin Smith Divine reboot perfectly, and the Jay and Silent Bob got rebooted. Now, no, because there's a lot of situations when you're talking about comic book narratives that I wouldn't fully agree with that, but that's subjective. Like I said, when you're switching, when you're changing the offense of a football team, and the quarterback is the most important part of that offense, you change the quarterback to fit the offensive scheme that you're running. Superman is someone else's quarterback. The new coach has a different scheme. He is not running Cavill's offense. It's that simple. I understand the aggravation and the frustration because we got cut short. But once again, we don't know what's coming next as far as Cavill goes and as far as wrapping up. Oh, Khan, whatever. I'm trying to, man, and I'm not screaming at you guys in that sense because I understand completely where you're coming from. But dynamic wise, we've been using the wrong terms for a very long time. I think those misuse of those terms have done damage to our fandom. Oh, and Batfleck booted. No one wants him. We want Levi and Cena, the best. Once again, we don't know what Ben Affleck's role is in any of these Batmans, or if Ben Affleck wants to even play Batman anymore. All right. Selecting the assets of an existing film. Okay. Jesus Christ. Selecting the assets of an existing failed story feels messier. How now I have to explain the behind the scenes to people before. No, Fourth, you don't. You don't, because those aren't the A-listers. All right. The A-listers that he's changing out are what's going to determine whether this is a success or not the D-listers. The D-listers are complementary characters. You don't have to switch them out. But if you're trying to change the direction of something like that, complementary characters aren't going to make shit. Come on, who cares? It's a quarterback, right? It's a quarterback and a coach relationship. That person telling that new storyline, that new Superman storyline, needs his Superman just like Zack Snyder needed his. Yeah, but here's the thing. At some point, it's not going to go on forever. All right. And I think this is the point because you can't devalue the company any more than it's being devalued. So and there's a lot of difference than the previous 30 or 40 years. DC's never had a studio, number one. DC always had to answer to a whole bunch of dumb hierarchy, 3 or 4 levels of people to get anything done. Gunn and Safran answer to Zaslav. Zaslav answers to the shareholders. That's a real simple, tight formation there, guys. That's different. It's taking me 48 hours to process this stuff, and my takeaway is that only Cavill, Affleck, Fisher are gone. Weird. First of all, like I said, the Fisher situation is a different situation on its own. And the two characters that they say are gone, and in Cavill and Affleck, are the most important parts of somebody creating their own direction. Why would I need to get rid of anything else? Aquaman isn't the focal point. Shazam isn't the focal point. Batman and Superman are. If I'm charting my own path, I'm going to take the two characters that have the most influence on the entire storyline and control it through them. Those have to be my people. I don't know if I can explain that any clearer, guys. But what if a reboot was the best as a whole? Just stop to say hi. There's very rarely have I seen reboots be a good idea. Reboots usually come out of desperation and laziness. So when you have something that sprouts from those two things, you're probably not going to have anything good. All right, but oh my God, we don't. First of all, we do not know what's going to happen. And in Elseworlds is a point that I have explained several times, is to give you opportunities to tell stories. Even if you have gone in a different direction, you can still use Elseworlds to wrap things up. Different creators who want to do different things that are not part of, are shackled by the mainland universe, can use Elseworlds. You still get the talent. You still get that top A director to do your superhero movie, even if he doesn't want to be a part of the overall narrative. You may get somebody that says, you know what, I am just throwing a name, Steven Spielberg. I want to do a superhero movie, a two-part superhero epic, but I don't want, you got your own thing going over in the mainline universe. I want to use some characters. The Snyder thing was epic. I loved what he was doing. I want to come in. I want to finish these characters. Or Zack Snyder may want to come in. And what this does is this, if it did happen, this is your best option. All right, sorry for being emotional. Don't worry about it. Like I said, I'm excited. Don't forget Gods and Monsters. Gods that can only mean Kryptonians and Wonder Woman. Hopefully, they mean new gods too. I hope the new gods come into play. And here's the thing, though. He said, I mean, even if he realigns his Superman into something else, doesn't mean he has to erase everything that came through. There's nothing. No one showed me anything that he said he can't call up Ray Porter and said, you know what? There's only one Darkseid in the multiverse. You're him. We don't know what he's keeping and what he's coming forward. We're assuming stuff. And when you assume stuff, I know it's ass out of you and me, but you really do damage. Let's be excited and hopeful for the future, but stop trying to paint the picture. Let the artist paint that picture. I think you're just sour. I don't think it's going to take 20 years, but we don't know how this is going to turn out, though. Like I just said before, how do we know what he's keeping and what he's not keeping overall? We've only been given a partial view of the schedule. Well, we don't know what he's got planned. And to be honest with you, it's kind of fun not knowing for the first time in a while. All right, we're all hoping for the best. Nope. Oh, here we go. Nope. Doesn't get better than Harry. Sorry, I tell you. And listen, I love Henry. He's my favorite Superman. But I understand. This is James Gunn's. He could be gone in 4 years if this doesn't work out. You know what? If you're going to have somebody cook you a meal, you got to let them get the ingredients. And that is the most important ingredient to this universe is Superman. I don't know about any of those. The Justice League Dark thing, I haven't seen anybody that gives me a logical reason why they would do a secondary offshoot of Justice League before they actually did Justice League. All right. It's just not, I don't see how that makes, they may introduce those characters like Swamp Thing and Constantine, who knows? I don't see them doing a Justice League Dark before they establish the Justice League. It doesn't make any sense to me. Anything can happen, but that doesn't make any sense to me. All right. So far, the Marvel animated universe is the only thing DC related I'm invested. That's cool. As long, I mean, the animated stuff, the newer animated stuff, I'm down with. It's the '90s shit that I wipe my ass with it. Sorry. I hope AI advances with video so that we can fund the finishing of the Snyderverse Darkseid fight. The future will tell, man. All right, 4,000. They'll selectively realign before you get Darkseid. But what selectively realign means you could get Darkseid. So you guys are using this to explore the negative aspects of what it could mean instead of the possibilities that it can lead to. If your brain can focus on that, then your brain can focus on the other direction just as well. It's okay if you want to entertain, the disaster and the sky is falling aspect of it, because that's what we have been given the past 9 years. But I think if you want a clearer picture, instead of chasing your tail and running into a brick wall, explore the other aspects of and possibilities of it as well. That's all I'm saying. All right, don't forget Justice League is canon for normies and plebes. That has nothing to do with James Gunn, and that doesn't mean that that's canon in James Gunn's world. We don't know what he's going to pick and choose. All right, let's see. Oh, she's always going to. Don't bring in all the lanterns just yet. Nah, bring them in as they are appropriately. I mean, obviously, we're going to know that there is a. Oh wow, it's 1:30, guys. That there is a Green Lantern Corps, just by virtue that the Corps came before those Green Lanterns. But yeah, bring them in as they are. All right, guys. Ooh, wow, I have gone. Let me go say hi. Al was inevitable. Doesn't mean that shows are going to be canceled. It's going to be consolidation, because obviously when the merger like that happened, Viacom and all that just makes more sense. It's cheaper to do it that way, and you get more. All right, I agree. In Latin America, Batman and Spider-Man are the two biggest superheroes. Yeah, but the bulk of our money is going to be made in America, and you go global wide. Batman, Superman is Batman. But even still, like I said, you're talking about moving out Affleck. So, I mean, those are still an aspect of what he's telling the story through. And cinematically, Superman and Batman, as far as DC goes, that's the alpha right there. All this fault they shouldn't have gave into BVS. Now everything past BVS is jeez. I understand that he said that Superman and Batman are too important, but our story and the rest can stay because that's not important. He didn't say that. See, guys, don't fall into the trap of putting your words into what he has not said yet. All right, that's the dangerous part of fandom. We have a guy who's talking to us. Let him say what he means. Don't put in your hopes and dreams into the paragraph that has not been spoken yet. That's real dangerous. All right, guys. Yeah, wow. Okay, I went back. Nah, this is pretty good. Hour 45 minutes, hour and a half. Semi overnighter. The overnighter is yes, hit the like button. Hit the like button for both me and my channel and Enosh. This is Enosh's network as well. Yeah, I mean, this is where we have the part of fandom that is the most important is patience before judgment. This could all suck, but at this point, I'm not ready to render that type of judgment yet. Okay, so it's not really political. I'm being black. I've been black my entire life, so that's not political. That's a reality. I have been stopped by police. I was ironically coming out of the Sci-Fi Center because I keep late hours, and some passerby clown, called and said someone was breaking in or someone was burglarizing the Sci-Fi Center. I came out, and they pulled up on the curve, showing these big bright lights at me, had their guns drawn, and I put my hands up, and I didn't say anything. They started asking the questions, turn around, doing all the turn around, put your hands on the thing, and didn't cuff me though. Didn't cuff me because as he got closer to me, the guy, and right up on me with their lights, one of the cops recognized me. We had both served in the same National Guard unit. He was now an MP with the National Guard at that time, and I was in maintenance or something at that. I forgot where I was. This was years ago. And he recognized me, called me by my ring, called me Sergeant Powell, and I recognized him. And I because once he turned the light off, and they asked me a bunch of questions. Showed him my ID, showed him my business, showed the other guy my ID, my business. I was there, and they called it off. I have never been stopped under any of the circumstances. But understand, though, like I said, and I grew up in Los Angeles, and I wasn't involved in stuff like that. I've been pretty fortunate. And plus, I'm not out and about in places like that. So it's like, never been beaten by a cop before. Like I said, the Las Vegas Metro, that's who is out here. They do some crazy stuff every now and then, but for the most part, I've never had any issues. So, I know that a lot of people have, obviously, but, we see it, but no, that's the only time I've ever had that type of encounter with the cops. So no, I've been pretty fortunate. All right. So I'm all for brutal. Yeah. Yeah. Brutal. I don't need the Snyderverse restored. My context and my hashtag, if I ever use one, is going to be resolved in the Snyderverse. I don't need the Snyderverse to go on forever. I just need the end to the beginning. That's it. All right. Let's see. But James Gunn isn't obligated to give us shit. The Snyderverse wasn't his problem. I recommend that it gets done because it makes for a better overall product, and it makes for better credibility for people you want to invite to go on a brand new journey. But he's not obligated to give us shit. Now, if all he does is leave open the Elseworlds door, that's enough for me right now. So, yeah, I think Ray Fisher is an awesome performer. He was one of the best parts about Zack Snyder's Justice League, but his situation is complicated, and it's not a situation that the new ownership and new regime is even part of. So and it's a lot to take on. So, all right, guys. Yeah, box office will help. All right, I popped in for the watch. I'm not here to mod. I'm cooking eggs and enjoying. I have a couple of thoughts. I cannot wait for Swamp Thing. And if it's Mangold, oh man, I can't wait for Swamp Thing. All right, so let's see. It's the same way movies have been made for 100 years. You get other people to finance them. Studios don't pay for movies, by the way, guys. Financiers pay for movies. Every movie I know of is made on borrowed money. Investors and people like that. They bring in the money, and it's because when Legendary, but even though they lost Legendary, there's other people out there, other studios, other bankers, and when you watch a movie, you see all these names you never heard of them. It's those guys. All right. And what those guys do is they front the money and they get their profit back and interest when the movie comes back. So $1 billion movie, if they front 150 or 100 million of it, all right, then they get their money back plus interest. And it's an investment for them. And they're part of the, when they win an Academy Award, like Weinstein, if for better or for worse, that guy was the guy who got the money and gathered the money together for investors and people like that. And that's how those movies get made. So it's not the studio's money anyway. But even if it was, Warner Brothers is not broke to the point where they can't spend money on movies. There's too many people that will front their movies anyway because they know that not only will they make money off of the release of the movie. They're going to make money on physical media. They're going to get a cut of the subscriptions. They're going to make money on the ad buys. When you see Aquaman on any of these other channels, that is because there's ad buys involved. They get a percentage of that. So there's enough people that will front the cash for the movie. And most movies are made with borrowed money. So it's not the studio's money anyway. It's made with borrowed money. So Warner Brothers could have 12 cents in their name. It wouldn't matter. They could still make a Superman movie. They could still make a Batman movie because they're going to have people that get investors together and say, we want to invest in this movie and we're going to get our money back. Plus we're going to get maybe, 10, 15%. Plus we'll get residuals. Plus we get credits. Plus when this movie does do well, other people will come to us and we continue to make profit off of our interest and off of our gains. So that's how movies are made. Okay, guys, it is 1:38. I think I've there you go. Hey, you know what, Integrity? Like I said, as long as there's an Elseworld door in the house, doesn't matter who put the door there or who comes through it. There's always a possibility for that and other things too. Yeah, Jerry Jones. Oh, that's a whole stream. And so. All right. The fact of the matter, the gun wasn't clear. He was weird and kind of contradictory, and that's why we're still pissed and confused. Give it time, though. This is a moving train, and it's coming together. Let's just everybody sit back and let Bob Ross finish painting that tree before we make fun of how shitty the tree looks. Or, oh my God, I think that tree's going to look like shit. He's only on the branches so far. And you very well may be shit, but we're not at the point where we can make a coherent judgment of that. Just give it a little bit of time. All right, guys, that is it. That is it. I think I've answered a lot of versatile questions. I think you guys have brought a lot to the conversation. I wish I could go on forever, but I'm starting to get dry and tired. I got to eat and I got to go to bed. I will. I don't know. I mean, okay. I don't know if the people that are in our chat are cultists. The cultists are out there. Don't get me wrong. We know who they are. The James Gunn beheaded guys, Friar James Gunn guys, and threatened people. We're going to be at Comic-Con guys. Those are the cultists. The people in here, and I've interacted with a lot of these people before. They're upset. I understand why they're upset. It's unprofessional how Warner Brothers handled this, but I can't hold the new guy accountable for the pile of shit that the old guys left in the front yard. All I can do is hope that he leaves possibilities for us to do this, or that somebody else does it. But if he's going to move on with his thing, that's fine. But that keyword is Elseworlds. That keyword is realignment. I honestly think John Gunn is a fan. I think he sees what's going on, and I think he sees the sensible people that are not happy with it. And I don't think he's been completely dismissive. He hasn't given us hard, concrete answers, and I don't think he should yet until he's ready to. But people are crying about some answers that if you wait, you might get something resembling to what you're looking for. But no, I don't think there's too many cultists on. I mean, these guys are upset, but I've been online and I've been in chat rooms. I've been on with the cultists. Those people are crazy. Those people make all of fandom look bad. These guys are upset. And like I said, if you invested 9 years in something and it was left like this, and, so there you go. All right, guys. I don't know why we're emailing you, Richard, but hey, you be careful what you ask for. All right, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get some rest, and because I got to get up tomorrow and get ready for the weekend. Thursday is the build-up day. So, all right, that's it. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for letting me shepherd you two on a brief trip from Wednesday night to Thursday night. I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna go to get some stuff ready for tomorrow, and I'm gonna go to bed. But thank you all for being here. And until next time, America.